kind of like a, I think people like Mike because I'm kind of a unique kind of character.
And I have
You just see how games of possession is more intense, how they mean more.
I'm not putting him on.
I think the U.S. is going to obviously win.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Nothing But Respect. My name is Harry Krinsky. I'm joined by Patrick Redford. This is a classic episode, and the Knicks are back. Patrick, how are you doing?
The Knicks are back as hell. I'm back as hell. Feeling good. Feeling excited to do an NBA Finals preview 2 weeks before it starts. Classic Nothing But Respect touch. It's good. I'm getting increasingly unhinged texts from Eamon Whalen about like what the parade route will be in Minneapolis. Noah Colwin is sending us all kinds of theories. It's a good time to be a hoops fan, I gotta say.
Yeah. Noah's gone through the looking glass and is doing like Nazi revisionist history, but not the bad kind. He's doing like, I'm pretty sure Brad Stevens' grandfather was in the Third Reich. Like he's like figured out how he's like gone all the way through the looking glass.
Something that I like this time of year is all the kind of like swaggy basketball Instagram accounts like Swish Cultures and stuff are on the occasion of these four teams who like haven't won a title in forever. They're like being like, remember what it was like when Ron Baker was a bucket for the Knicks. Like they're just remembering all the ass players who played for these teams. And like, I really appreciate seeing like Alexei Shved Wolves highlights and shit. Like this is a good way to lead into it.
Absolutely. Yes. This is a whole other episode, but what started as such a beautiful thing, which was like freaks on the internet beaming highlights of like Ricky Rubio to my phone that I could look at before I go to sleep, has turned into this like monstrosity of like, MK Ultra style death by a million highlights, house of highlights. But the original instinct to send me weird highlights of weird basketball players to my phone is a beautiful one.
Yeah, the guy remembering Industrial Complex, like, because of that name can be a little poo-pooed, but, like, it really, honestly, is, like, very nice to remember that, like, Anthony Tolliver truly was a bucket.
Yes, it's great to know. It's great, it's a lovely thing.
I wonder how it feels to be, like, Cleanthony early and just, like, 10 years later be thought of as like the personification of like the bad times. Like all these fans who like probably hated you 10 years ago are like lovingly remembering you as like this necessary stepping stone. Like, you're getting props, but also like in the most backhanded possible way.
Right. You are reviewing what is an emotional peak of your life, but certainly in kind of like a certain sense, the climax of your career. And people are being like, that was so mid.
Yeah.
but it at the same time, it is like, it is obviously exceptional what you're doing.
Yeah.
Maybe that'll feel, well, now that Substack, of which we are hosting this podcast, has sort of been deemed over the hump.
It's not cool.
It's not cool. Maybe people will look back at what we're doing and say like, oh God, that was mid. Remember the early days of Nothing But Respect before Enron and GQ came together to buy Nothing But Respect.
Yeah, in 5 years, Ben Smith will use us as like this great example of what not to do. And he'll be like, well, here's what you do if you're starting a media company,
Exactly. The last thing I'll say, because we were joking about this Chris Black Substack. Chris Black said some negative. Said Substack wasn't cool. Said institutions are cool. Whatever.
It's really just the line "institutions are cool." That's like a great, like, in a way, sort of a New York Knicks, like a pro New York Knicks sentiment, like denatured of its basketball content. If you just apply that to the the NBA Finals, which we of course are previewing today, that's a Knicks over, I guess, Thunder.
No, it's the argument for it matters more in the Garden.
It's
Chris Black being like institutions are cool and him having a column of which he writes out of the Condé Nast building. But the only thing I would say about that is like, I wonder genuinely if you plugged the Substack CEOs, which is a bigger kind of like PR scandal. Navigating the Substack isn't cool. Chris Black Semaphore bomb, or navigating the literal Nazis on Substack. Like, I wonder which one is more of like all hands on deck.
Honestly, probably the Chris Black one, but I feel like you could like that guy saying that thing on that podcast is also sort of like a good branding bump. Like, yes. Because if you are being set apart to institutions, like then you actually are kind of cool.
Yeah, you're at least in the conversation. Speaking of it being in the conversation, you were in the conversation at the Chase Center at the death rattle of possibly the my favorite teams. They're drawing their last breath. But you were actually in the building covering Wolves Warriors, which is awesome.
Yeah.
I'm curious. Give me like both kind of what it was like, but also like what is it? Where do you even walk in? What's going on there?
It's you walk in on the far side over by the bay. It's the 7:30 media entrance.
Hell yeah.
I emailed.
What are the credentials
the guy.
looking like? Are they like
I have it right
flimsy,
here,
or are
actually.
they? Let me see.
It's just like a cardboard
thing
with like a little string. The little string is very helpful because at the Kings a few years ago, they just give you the cardboard thing and they like want you to wear it as a lanyard, but give you no lanyard technology. So I spent an hour just like talking to these concessions workers, being like, "Come on, just give me one of those. Give me one of the Kings lanyards." Like I see like 10 over there, and they never would. So I had to, during halftime of game 1, buy a lanyard from the team store, and that was pretty embarrassing. No, it was great. I worked with the Warriors PR staff. I went to Chris Finch's press conference, asked him a question. I got my first like "that's a clown question, bro" kind of moment from GP2, because the Warriors PR guy pulled him in after shoot around. He like did not want to talk to us. There were like 5 people there. Young Masuk was there, and I asked him about rebounding, and I was like, you guys are both good rebounding teams, but like they finally kind of got your ass. Like, do you have any like counters? Like just trying to ask like what I thought was like is not a good question, but I just wanted him to like
seems
talk
better
about
than
rebounding.
what did this moment mean to you?
And he just kind of looked at me and he's like, "They're taller than us," and then like looked at the PR guy and was like, "That was great, thank you." And then
Oh my god.
but whatever. But the main takeaway, I went to the Wolves press conferences after they won. They went up 3-1. They won game 5, obviously.
Yep.
And the Ant aura thing, I like kind of got it being in the same room as him. Like there's like a magnetism to him. He is like so comfortable. Like anyone else in these press conferences, they sort of regard it as like, you can tell that they're like stealing themselves a little bit. Like, and they all gave great answers. Like Julius Randle had both of his kids up there. That was great. But Ant is like just the coolest customer. He gets up there. He just talks his shit. Clearly is unbothered by any of it. Like he has like that star. You see it, like the star
Like
magnetism.
star power. Yeah.
Yeah. That was fun.
In college, I think my friends had a phrase, or like would say that some people came out of the womb cool, and there's like you can just sort of have this sense that they were like they have just in every single thing sort of remotely nearing a Lord of the Flies situation, they were the cool guy in the Lord of the Flies situation.
Yeah.
Like if it was in the sandbox in preschool all the way up to their like high school basketball team. Ant strikes me as sort of having that effervescence.
Just eternal swag.
It's why
also,
people
like,
all over are kind of like it's like the nobody, and then like 100 people on Instagram being like, I would let him crack my shit.
Oh, speaking of Eamon, he sent us that amazing post. Wait, can you summarize this post?
Yes. Wait. Well, which one? There's 2. There's the r/Red Scare basketball post.
I feel like maybe actually we should, speaking of posts, we should do that one. That's like a better intro into the other stuff we're going to talk about. I was told not to ask you how you found it, so I won't.
Yes, I don't. I can neither confirm nor deny that I found this on the Red Scare subreddit. I want to put a slight Ox Portello official, our lawyer, is this banger hunting provision, because this is it's a good question, but is this too good to be true? Because it being on the Red Scare subreddit, it's just everything about it is perfect. It's just a girl and the NBA Finals. I live in an apartment above a middle-aged single man. He's a kind and good neighbor. However, he screams at night watching sports. It sounds like he's sitting on the couch in my apartment. Instead of trying to do what any normal person would do, I've started watching what he's watching when I'm home. So after 27 years of watching sports only on Super Bowl Sunday and random games I've been invited to, I've watched every Timberwolves game of the first and second series, quite a few Celtics games, and various other playoffs games. Here are some of my thoughts. I would have never been able to say no to Anthony Edwards hitting it raw. He is he has an adorable, mischievous smile, and I would be pregnant. Fair enough. The men who speak for every game on TNT, Shaq, spelled S-H-A-K, Charles Barkley, and other guys seem as though they are too tired to create meaningful conversation or commentary.
It's kind of right.
Which I found that to be the most profound of the comments. It is difficult to figure out how to watch games. I have to call my brother, whatever, normal stuff. Okay. Most teams have 4 types of players. And this is where you get the real kind of early Red Scare kind of quagmire of sort of like kind of racism and at least things you haven't heard anywhere else. Most teams have 4 types of players: small, fast black men, at least one very large, fast black man, little fast white guys, and then whatever. That's fine. They can do a little edgy racial thing. This is where it gets actually interesting and funny. And sometimes one slow, fat white guy who can shoot or defend. I'm extremely confused as to why the white guys are allowed to be fat. It seems to me that their fatness is not what makes them good at scoring, but I could be wrong. Why not also be fit? Great question. It's baffling to me that they could remain chunky with their lifestyle. Another great question. I might be missing something here.
That's a good sentence. This is of course written by Nico Harrison 14, yes. Reddit user. I mean, I like trying to derive which teams this vaguely racist person has been watching. Yeah, and it's like, okay, small, like clearly this is about Jokic.
Yes,
right?
And then maybe Luka.
Yeah. I would advise this person to go watch old Jokic tape and just see like how different he looks now.
Yeah, he's one of the only players in the history of sports who has gotten in less shape and better at basketball.
Yeah.
Or in less shape looking, I should say. I mean, he is probably actually, like, in terms of what even when you get up close to him, I bet he's like fucking like jacked in some weird way.
This is this is an interesting sort of lead in to what you have described as the Bing Bong hero's journey theory, just in the sense of like how a certain type of New Yorker is like perceiving the Knicks playoff run in the NBA, which is, I would say, is with like a moron's version of like open-minded curiosity. Like they're like curious kind of for dumb reasons, but like, I mean, I wonder if this person likes it. That's like the thing that I don't, like, I want to know if they're having fun doing this, because
they are enjoying continuing
to watch, or if it's just this form of like sort of reducing their neighbor torture by sort of like a parallelism.
Yeah. It's a great question. I mean, there is a certain type of person who I think is this is a small group of people, but who like to move to the most expensive city in the world to rot in their room all day. And that's
true.
I like turn off the air conditioning and just be like, if I stand up too quickly, I'll die, because I'm like because I've read so much fucking Ayn Rand or whatever.
I was in New York last May during the last time the Knicks played the Pacers in the playoffs, and that was like so fun. The energy around the city was like just incredible. Even though I was mostly there for like the drudgery end of the Pacers series. How does it feel there now? It seems like it's popping off.
It really is like electric. And I remember when the first time the Knicks were good when I lived in New York was the year that they lost to Trae Young. And
that was a fun season.
I think it was 2018, 2019.
I think it was 2021.
Oh, you're right, 2021. It was after. Right, because that was the
that was the Bucks title.
Yes. The city, I remember, like, I don't remember why I was in the West Village, but I was walking through the West Village during a Knicks game, and everybody was outside, standing outside of bars, watching the game. Like, I had never felt like a city had anything remotely near school spirit, like the type of thing you'd see on a college game day, until this. And it really was, it was just awesome. And like, it's all the cliches, like people of all different kinds, like sitting around watching the Knicks game, like cheering, high-fiving each other. Like that shit was actually happening.
Hell yeah.
And so it was after that when I was like, oh wow, it's like, it really is fun when the Knicks are good. Like the city is exciting. And we are totally back there.
I love it.
I have one Knicks t-shirt, which is a Kith New York Knicks t-shirt that I was given.
Clip that.
Which I was given, which is my favorite t-shirt. No, which I typically wear sort of ironically to
6
play
days
basketball.
a week.
Yeah, 6 days a week. Which I wear on first Hinge dates often to let them know that I both love Australians and basketball.
Is Kith Australian?
I think so. I'm pretty sure it's like Australian. Yeah, which is like, hey, how about this? How about we start putting up a swag tariff?
Let's go.
If your shit is cooked, if you're selling me a button-down T-shirt with 11 Coca-Cola logos on it, how about that we do it 100% tariff tax on that?
Wait, there's hella Australians in Williamsburg, right? That's a thing?
Yes, there are, and they do. I remember there was that article about Australians, and it is like literally true. There's like roving packs of wild Australians.
Wait, do you know why there are so many? Because I do know why. I have an answer for this.
No, tell me why.
The Iraq War. It's literally the Iraq War. It's in 2003. The U.S. was like, all right, let's get this coalition thing going. And the Brits were like, yeah, we'll give you 15 guys. And the Aussies were like, let's fucking go. And they sent a shitload of military people. And in exchange, the U.S. gave them like this like visa cap, like a ton of people could come over. And like Australians don't even like the amount of legal immigration Australians are allowed to do is like way more than like almost any other country. And it's literally like, it's like a couple of them started cafes in Williamsburg, like pre-gentrification that got big. And so that became like the big hub for Australians, like literally because of the Iraq War.
That is insane. And that's actually especially beautiful in the context of like Australians coming in and quote unquote ruining bars like Clandestino. Like, Clandestino's cooked, I guess, when like 7 Australians in all Kith pull up. And it's like there's just some weird, synergy there with like the Iraq War creating the Australians that are then going to come in and ruin America's next shot at a kind of transgressive right wing movement.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
And they got Owen Phillips in the exchange, so it's sort of they really things worked out very well for the Australians, I got to say.
Yeah, it's true. Maybe we have to. Yeah. We should put a tariff on. Okay, now we're way off, but we should throw a tariff on neologens. Like if Owen Phillips coming from Australia and creating the phenomenon of weak link basketball, and then that it's like ESPN should be paying Australia 2 cents per impression they get on Kendrick Persons being like, it's a weak link sport now.
Okay, New York Knicks Bing Bong hero's journey theory.
Yes,
explain.
I was walking with my Kith shirt, and honestly, three as one does, 3 people in a 10-minute walk stopped me to be like, "Go Knicks," or to ask me about the game. This has never happened. Never happened in San Francisco. I've never had people like just being like, and I was like, God, dude, like the city is back. Like I have not. I couldn't think of like the last time. The city felt so excited about Knicks, and then the only other time I remember it was the first Bing Bong.
The first Bing Bong.
Yeah.
When was the first Bing Bong?
Well, so this is when I started. At first, I was just like, "Oh, that's funny." Like we've returned, because then I started thinking about like, God, there's been this kind of funny side talkification of New York Knicks fandom, and like, is that good? Is that corny? Where are we at? And I was like, oh, we're at a bit of a return to Bing Bong, but then I was like, it's kind of a nice return, like a hero's journey, kind of Iliad. You went on this long journey and then you return, to the land of Bing Bong, but you're like steeled and you understand the power you have more. So then
you've taken on lessons from the wider world.
Yes,
it's like less insular.
Exactly. You understand foul baiting. You understand. That you need 7 guys in a rotation or whatever, and you've returned to a wiser sort of like Bing Bong infrastructure. But then I was like, how well does this map onto the hero's journey? And at every step, I found that it mapped more and more. And so I present to you the Bing Bong hero's journey.
Let's go.
Call to action. Quick, important side note. The Ryan Russillo subreddit, another subreddit I may or may not frequent sometimes, has misreported when the first Bing Bong video hit the internet. According to the Ryan Russillo subreddit, which is incorrect, they say that the first Bing Bong video was the Bing Bong video that was eventually turned into a stupid TikTok trend, which we will get to. But the first Bing Bong video was get this, Knicks opening day double overtime win against the Boston Celtics, where they won. They beat the Knicks in 2021, a team that they would end up winning like 37 games that year, but they beat the Knicks in this hilarious double overtime game. And after that, they recorded the first video with the Bing Bong that kind of like set the world on fire.
So it's very much not like a May-June playoffs thing. It's like a opening season.
It was the opening season after the Trae Young thing. So what was so funny about it was you get all these fucking people in New York chanting "fuck Trae Young," and they haven't played him or will play him for another month, which is awesome. Like that's the spirit of Knicks. And this is also crucially before they got Jalen Brunson. So that the next year in 2022, they signed Jalen Brunson. Okay, second part of the hero's journey, supernatural aid. They signed this undersized guard who ends up being the seventh best player in the NBA. Then the challenges and temptations period, where you're going on your journey. I guess you're seeing sirens or whatever. That is kind of the Nova Knicks 1.0 era. Look at Dante DiVincenzo. He's so great. Wait,
I want to just like, this is good. We've also, at this point, we've crossed from the known into the unknown. Like we're like, the journey is well underway, right? Like our heroic protagonist. I feel like it's also sort of important. Like that Bing Bong comes from a moment not of success, but of failure. I think that's like a really crucial, like we've said that, but I think it's like important to underline. Like,
yes,
that losing to the Hawks in that way was like pretty embarrassing. Like they should have won that series, as I recall. And also like the term Bing Bong, that's like it's like a Subway reference, right?
It's allegedly there's some kind of like muddled history around this, but most people attribute it to it's the sound that the Subway makes.
Okay, so it's like it's both in opposition to the Celtics and the Hawks, but in a sort of tragic way, is how I'm reading it.
Totally. And then the other element of kind of like tragedy, but also a sort of beautiful, foolish euphoria is the entire Bing Bong apparatus 1.0 is propped up on the Julius Randle second team all league campaign.
Oh, yeah.
Which in a sort of 1984 style doublespeak, every single Knicks fan secretly also knew that he was trash.
That's true. It's just like what you said about the Cavs that I thought was so smart, which is like, yes, they are frauds, but like the way in which they lost does not allow you to call them frauds.
Yes,
like,
exactly.
It's sort of this like you know it, but you can't say. Also, I'm realizing now, not to do spoilers, but like Julius Randle could play the Knicks in the finals, which would be an incredible.
Which would be like post everything from a Bing Bong standpoint.
Okay, so at this point, our hero is like they're in the woods.
Yeah,
they're gaining members for their quest.
Yes, they're gaining members for their quest. The other thing that I want to track around this is the actual meta thread of Bing Bong and side talkification of this shit, because this is also when we are getting to the point of like so many things online where like a cool, exciting thing like side talks, what's it called? It's side talk, whatever. Side talk NYC is what it's called.
Yeah.
Like doing these kind of like gonzo little interviews are jumping the shark a little bit in that people are starting to understand that they are on a side. They're becoming self-aware. They are understanding that they are on side talks. They are also being like completely cribbed by other people trying to do like bullshit ass versions of it. And so it's there are some wandering in the jungle of Bing Bong. Bing Bong is a movement, and that is when you hit the abyss.
And this is also in the period in New York, like post-pandemic, that I think of as walking through Washington Square Park, and there's 2,000 people with tiny mics asking people, what's an album that makes you say vibes for their TikTok?
And this is exactly what leads us to the abyss.
This is good. Okay, what's the abyss?
The abyss is basically two things. It is losing to that Pacers team last year. Also, and basically losing in a kind of Tibbsian way where like everybody's legs fall apart and they just don't have enough guys. There's definitely some sort of like, is Tibbs on the hot seat? Can Tibbs get this team over the hump? At the same time, the kind of like Bing Bong sound has been fully turned into a TikTok sound that other people are using and doing this like weird like trend at some point during the Grammys. I think it's during the Grammys. Lil Nas X does a celebrity style, like the updated version of that like photo with all the celebrities, you know, the famous selfie stupid bullshit, but where like a bunch of celebrities do their version of a Bing Bong. And we have basically crossed the Rubicon into Bing Bong is corny.
Yeah. And also, do you remember earlier in December, the writer Min Tran wrote this long Substack thing about like the Kithification of New York's face? I thought that was good.
Yes, totally. And that was yes, exactly. That's a great, like, there is this sort of like, and I think there was a broader, well, like you were joking about, like there is this broader, and this still, I mean, this will continue to happen forever, I guess. But like there was definitely a lot of people talking about like a sinister attempt to kind of like package the energy of New York and sell it online in the attention economy via, you know, standing in Soho and like being like, I'm going to eat 11 fake apples. That gets me like, you know, cryptocurrency.
And like
or whatever.
this, I think that this tension is like broadly mirrored with, I mean, as someone who's never lived in New York and enjoys like maybe 10 days a year there, I think there's always this eternal tension of like the new coming in gentrifying class versus like the native New Yorker, and the ways that plays out in Knicks fandom, I find very interesting, because mostly the phenomenon to me seems to be the newcomers coming in and embrace, like there really is nothing like MSG. Like the way Knicks fans are, their like enthusiasm, despite like really never like not winning anything for like a really long time and like being objectively ass forever. I find it kind of charming, I have to say.
Well, this is actually, so we've talked again. We have a group chat with our lawyer Ox Portello, and he is very critical of Knicks fans. He is like the worst case scenario is that the Knicks are good, and I understand that, especially as he's a Brooklyn Nets fan. But I fucking love Knicks fans, dude. I think
great.
I think their sort of like a delusion is what is the fuel. That much like Australians and the Times Square economy, their delusion is what fuels the entire thing. And then, you know, you could also say that the Iraq War changed everything for the Knicks.
Famously, yeah.
Okay. Anyway, then we get out of the abyss, the transformation, obviously the Randall and Bridges signing, the redemption, which was this playoff series, and the return. Bing Bong Part 2, a literal side talk video drops right after the Boston. People return to side talk. They are happy about it. It's like when you hear a hit song that got played out, but then 10 years later you listen to it again. You're like, I fucking love this. I love Float On by Modest Mouse. The song bangs, dude. Why did I ever think the song was overrated?
There's a couple good things going here, because the hero's journey is like a journey of transformation, but it's above all like a journey of like self-discovery, right? Like, and you have to like you come out of it a different person, but it's not that like you've taken on all these like exogenous influences and like just totally diverted your path. You've found this like inner strength. And there's two things I like here. One is that the coming home, like triumphant moment so far is beating the loathed Celtics, which is like that Bing Bong starts with a win over the Celtics. That's great. And on like a sort of larger arc, that like Pacers Eastern Conference Finals is like the great proving ground, because of course the Pacers are like the eternal enemy, and like Reggie Miller is going to be in the building, and like he loves that shit. And that like the modes of coherence there feel really good.
And it is fun, and this will kind of lead us into a bit of our kind of finals preview, but it is fun. The Knicks and Pacers series also is going to be a really fun clash of styles, because it's a total styles make fights.
Yes.
Series, and I think the Knicks are going to win, and I actually think in this weird way, because we've been on the pod being like, Tibbs should get fired. Tibbs get fired. Tibbs is the perfect guy for this series to like grind the fast-paced offense to a halt via like the most maddening Jalen Brunson ISOs over and over again. And like the Knicks win, if the Knicks win, I think these games are going to be in the 80s. And that will just be like such a triumph of Tibbsian basketball that it will be fun. It will be a lot of like spiritual truth to all of that.
Yeah, like they're really, of the two matchups, this is the one where the two teams are trying to do the most different stuff.
Totally.
And it really will be like who can impose their vision, which is like, that's the type of series that I really like.
Yeah, same.
Like I feel like Rockets Warriors was kind of that.
Yeah.
To a certain degree. Like that seems like the cleanest example that I can think of the first few rounds.
All right, I guess
Pacers everything, but yeah.
Yeah, right. Well, that's been an interesting. But Pacers haven't had a formidable. Nobody's been able to. Because even the Cavs were like to the point of them being frauds. Like they just got really injured and lost
yeah.
The series. All right, you pitched me this idea. I think was a great concept, which is to basically there are 4 remaining possible NBA Finals opportunities, matchups, and we are going to rank all different kinds of ways. We're going to rank these 4 different matchups as a way of unpacking what the last 4 teams will mean. So
yeah.
Let's start with we're going to go first rankings, and then we're going to go some matrices, and I would say in typical nothing but respect fashion, these will also descend into madness. Let's first start with the kind of classic rank choice voting. What are your we know that we have the same one. So what did you have as your top 4?
I think this is the one America wants.
Yeah.
There are so many obvious significant narrative clashes here. This is I think the one that like the networks would want the most. It's Wolves Knicks. You have both sides of the Karl Anthony Towns Julius Randle trade going up against each other. You have the Knicks back in the finals. Like that's big time. And especially given who they're going to play, which we can get into. I don't think this is necessarily like the universally most wanted matchup because of who the Wolves are playing and like the ways that the Thunder have been marketed. But like from just like holistic, all the different axes, this is the one I'd want to see most. What about you?
I had Wolves Knicks as well. And then my number 2, I think America wants the Knicks in the championship. Well, yeah. I think I'd be curious if people disagree, but my sense is that America wants the Knicks in the finals. Or at least like can't point to Indiana on a map. And so thusly it is like.
And I wonder also like, because I can't really empathize with the like anti-Knicks. Like I can't really imagine hating these guys because they're like this like beautiful inverse of the Lakers where they're like a big franchise that everyone talks about, except they're never successful and their fans are cool, sort of. Mm-hmm. And unlike the Lakers who are very successful and their fans are horrible. Mm-hmm. Like I think
it's like their fans are fascists versus their fans are morons.
Yeah, exactly.
If they are both negative. Yeah.
And like the Pacers carry their villains. Like they carry themselves like villains. They play like villains. Like Andrew Nembhard is like a bad guy. Like he's a little Canadian guy who just does like annoying stuff.
Yeah.
And like also I think we'll get into this larger order take, but like the sort of like you think about the weak link thing and this general idea that friend of the pod Isaac Chotner brought up to me last year when the Celtics were winning, which is that like, is Tatum the worst best player on a finals winning team? And I think the answer is like, yes, for sure.
Yeah.
And I think if the Pacers won, Halliburton would be the new worst best player.
Right.
Whereas either West team, like Shea or Ant, would I think people would think of them as better than Tatum or more important than Tatum, even though like I don't necessarily know if that's true. So I think that's like an interesting thing that makes the Pacers sort of loathsome in this context.
And I do well, yeah. Let's talk about because the Pacers are just a very interesting foil to all of this. My third one was Wolves Pacers. Because if it can't be the Knicks, I want to see Ant in the championship, and then OKC Pacers as the series that I suspect nobody wants to see.
I think I actually talked myself into OKC Pacers being
above Wolves,
just as sort of like an apocalyptic scenario, because like no matter the thing that makes this exciting is that no matter what happens, this is like a changing of the guard championship, because the Knicks won the title in 73. The Sonics won the title in 79. The Pacers have won like ABA titles, but like but like the Thunder don't claim it. They don't put the little gold thing on the back of their jersey. So this is like no championships for 50 years basically for all these teams. And none of like the best players on any of these teams have won with different teams. Like none of the starters really have won with different teams. So like whatever happens here, we're going to think about like the league and these teams like differently. Like I think this will also be the 7th different champion in the last 7 years, which is like the first time that's ever, like we haven't had a repeat since the Warriors. Like it's been like a lot of turnover, which like you can debate whether or not that's good or bad for the league, but it's certainly interesting, you know?
You know who will get a big bump if we get OKC Pacers is people who paywall articles about the league ratings.
Yes.
If you want it, because it's like, you know, whatever rating, they're gonna be like the league is fucked. Like because
Ethan Sherwood Strauss is just praying for that so he can do the NBA went woke and gave us Pacers Oklahoma City and no one's watching it. And like, what does that say about the league understanding that its fan base and labor base are black? They probably should get fewer, like that kind of shit.
Exactly.
It's like Indiana Fever. Fever fans are like holding their breath for this.
We can all agree that the Pacers winning the championship is a referendum on Caitlin Clark.
If the Pacers make the finals, that is the strongest blow against the Angel race agenda. Now that I think about it, and having talked about Knicks fans, I think Wolves Knicks is also great because those are the two, and you know, nothing but respect to Pacers and Thunder fans. Knicks and Wolves fans are like the only two good fan bases left. Like I think I like both of those groups generally. I don't really know what's going on with OKC fans other than like the pregame prayer. They all wear the shirts. Gotta
wear the shirts. My boy Grayson's a big OKC Oklahoma
shout out
City,
to Grayson.
Fan. Yeah, I don't know what's up with them either. I do always love, and I actually think we're sitting pretty good. I like if any of these teams win. Short of OKC, I'll have some kind of like issues about the aura. If OKC wins and Shea gets one single swipe through foul call, I will put an asterisk next to the championship. If he is able to not get any, then we'll be fine.
The next ranking we have here is the call came in from Jersey, Adam Silver, best for the league ranking, which I think is sort of different than what I think they want OKC Knicks, because as we've talked about, like the marketing push behind Shea and OKC is like pretty serious. Obviously they want the Knicks. Like that's like that's pretty done and dusted. I think they also definitely are aware of like the way people are talking about Shea and Ant as like, we need these like North American stars. Like the Euro-Slav menace needs to be defeated by Aura, which like it sort of has in these, I guess by Ant and Shea. Yeah, they've each like taken down a Luka and a Jokic. Yeah. So do you think the league would rather have the Wolves or the Thunder in there to play the Knicks? This
was my debate as well. And I initially settled on the Wolves because of the pushback I sense from people writ large about Shea as a star versus the kind of like widespread anointment. Like people are frothing to anoint Ant, myself included, you know? So there's a certain kind of like complete and total star power there from Ant that maybe Shea doesn't have. I mean, this is a silly take, but just like pound per pound, the Ant commercials below the OKC Thunder commercial by committee commercials out of the water.
Those commercials are bad.
They don't even literally make sense. Like they don't. They're not operating. Yeah. They're operating in like dream logic.
Yeah, it's like a Dadaist send up of like the idea of fashion or friendship, like where the ant commercials are like just the classic, like, isn't this guy cool and good at basketball? It's like that's like I can point in that direction. That's a good one.
Exactly, and so that's my lean, but I don't know, because OKC is also that it's a great argument. I mean, and Indiana to some extent, but I think OKC just has more marketing dollars behind it as like the triumph of a higher order league arrangement such that you can build a fun and good team from a small market.
Yeah,
like there's a proof of concept there.
Yeah, they're interestingly the champions for the parity era.
Yes.
Which I don't know if I think the league likes that I think the league would basically like every team to be competitive, but then for the Lakers to play the Knicks in the finals every year. Like, I think they want like this like competitivity like up to a certain point.
Totally. And the Pacers represent actually an interesting foil to this, which the Pacers veer into the regular season doesn't matter champion, where the Pacers,
that's true.
Like, they didn't have a bad regular season, but they, had a good regular season, played themselves into shape, and are just playing the best basketball. It's not too dissimilar from that Miami Heat run to the finals a few years ago, where like they really did just sort of become a different team over the course of the season, which is my sense internally is that's how teams view themselves, as like dynamic teams that change over and come together and figure out their schemes on the fly. But there's a narrative that you could easily spin out, which is like, well, everything changes in the playoffs and it's random, and look at what the Pacers got to the finals and look what they did. I think the bottom, I had Wolves Pacers in the middle, and then the bottom third, and then I had OKC Pacers as the
just it's the ratings, it's the
Ethan Strauss. It would be like an immediate, how like in the middle of whatever 2 seasons ago they kind of had that clandestine meeting where they reinstated hand checking.
Yeah, and then the Wolves made the conference finals because of it.
It's going to be that with like Bobby Marks is going to report like, oh, I've just heard they're not enforcing the second apron anymore. I don't know. I knew they're just going to get rid of the second apron. Yeah.
The league is going to fix literally fly Mark Williams to Germany to give him the Kobe knee platelet treatment, and then like redo the Hornets trade. But it's like, you only have to give up Dalton Connect. Like, it's fine. Don't, like, we got our best guys on it. Don't worry about it. Like, exactly. We'll make sure the Hornets, we'll give you the Cameron Boozer lottery in 26, just like if you do us this solid. Like,
that's so funny.
What do you think about the ball don't stop power? Like, what series does he and his wing of revanchists want to see?
I was a little torn on this as well. I between OKC Knicks or Wolves Knicks. I don't think Ball Don't Stop has watched the Pacers.
I was thinking about that. Like, they kind of weirdly play real hoops. Like, They take a lot of mid-range jumpers. But the problem is also like they try hard and like pass the ball and like do stuff that isn't just like they don't play dumb. They don't do dumb shit, which is like kind of what he likes. I think he loves Shea. I know he really loves Shea.
He definitely loves Shea.
Also Ant.
They play a kind of like schoolyard style fast whatever, but the Pacers do, but they are also like proof that scheme and coaching and kind of like analytics matter on some level. Yeah. So I'm sure he has an interesting play. I suspect he's got interesting. Actually, I suspect he has totally incoherent thoughts about Halliburton, which is like if a highlight of Tyrese Halliburton crosses his page of Halliburton hitting a step back, he's like, Halliburton, incredible handle, able to get his shot off. And then if you watch a game where Halliburton has like 18, 11, and 2 and they lose, it's like Halliburton gotta be more aggressive, gotta be going downhill.
There's two Pacers things. I just looked at his tweets. April 19th, Pacers have so much depth. Benedict Mathurin a dog and Andrew Nembhard is a baller. Canadians doing big things. They are Canada's team, high key. So I think that we have to take into account that 10 days later, The Pacers offense is a prime example of why the game is about a bucket. Their scoring becomes their defense, and they just get timely stops. They have you on your heels all game. That is like basically true, except that analysis is like totally correct and honestly kind of good, except for the first principles of like that the game is about a bucket. It's like he's like engineered this correct take. This is why he's such a fascinating figure. Is like there's a coherence of vision here. Just like the thing it starts from is like totally
the
incoherent.
topic is off. Yeah. It's like the QAnon people being like right about the big picture that they're getting fucked, but wrong that it's like taking place under a pizza restaurant.
Yeah. He had one about the Thunder where he described, here's what the Thunder have to do to beat the Nuggets. Can you guess what his win condition was? He was like, going into game 7, like here's what they got. And maybe it was into game 5, but
I think J-Dub needs to get in his bag and go downhill.
Exactly that. He said J-Dub, in order for the Thunder to win, J-Dub needs to hit the tween Hezzy combo.
Like, is that really what he said?
That. Yeah. It's like, imagine Mark Daignault leading the meeting where he's like, okay, Caruso, you're going to front Jokic, but the main is like, okay, J-Dub, you're doing a lot of like between the legs step backs. I think we need to mix in some of the tween Hezzy combo. And Shay's like, got it. Pass J to the, all right, cool. Like, we're rocking with that.
That is so funny. They like developed a new zone to beat they spent overnight developing a new zone of like, which involves like thousands of micro movements and stunts and whatever. And the ball don't stop is like J-Dub tween crossover. Need 100 of those tonight.
Just keep spamming it. And then you get like Stan Van Gundy on the broadcast, and he's like, the tween Hezzy combo is really killing this Nuggets defense. Gordon's hamstring really hampers his ability to guard the tween Hezzy combo that J-Dub keeps doing, and he's taking all these 20-footers, obviously the best shot in basketball.
That's really funny. My eyes lit up. Everything changed for me when you reminded me that Benedict Mathurin is on the Pacers, because he is really the kind of like peak ball don't stop guy, a guy who like isn't getting enough playing time, but has a deep bag and kind of like does these sort of like real hooper style things, but hasn't been able to crack the rotation of a champ, or not crack the rotation, but hasn't been able to like get star power because he's been like sublimated in a certain role. Like those are the ball don't stop accolades.
I had a sort of bad, like, I don't really know how much I agree with this take now that I've thought about it, but after watching Kuminga like just try and fail to do like anything meaningful for the Warriors, then after watching Mathurin sort of like accidentally do all this meaningful shit for the Pacers, I was thinking like, is Mathurin the like successful, like the 50% successful version of Kuminga?
Yeah, I mean, in a way, yes. And I also if there is a knock on the Steph Curry, Warriors machine, I think it's more the answer is that the Pacers scheme is more forgiving for a player like Mathurin or a player like Kuminga, who
that's
is,
true,
like, who are super talented, very at certain parts of the offensive game are top 5%, drivers, move people off their spots, like that kind of thing, but just can't. I mean, I haven't watched enough Mathurin to see how much he can or can't do this, but Kuminga just like can't pick his head up. Like he just can't figure it out. Those are I'm trying to. The last ball don't stop victory lap I had was, or the last place was Wolves Pacers, but I think he'd be happy. I mean, he can pick and choose. Like he's got it all.
Yeah, he's that's the thing. He set himself up well. There, real hoopers abound. Mm-hmm. Those with eyes to see can find them anywhere.
Exactly.
I wonder how he feels about the Knicks now that I think about it, because Brunson is like in some ways sort of his ideal player, but also like I feel like Cat seems like one of his most loathed guys.
Yeah. Well. Yeah, I'm with you. I couldn't figure out where he stood on the Knicks. Short of stuff like, got to get Deuce McBride going.
Yeah.
That's definitely or like Precious Achua showing great, ability to attack downhill. No, the Knicks are a weird one where they possess this. The Knicks have a kind of like very boomer friendly, very real basketball friendly game, but it is more in their kind of like grittiness and attitude than it is how they actually play.
Yeah. Like they're if you think about all these teams as like being interesting test cases for the idea of like the game changing in the playoffs, the way that the Knicks are like the most obviously built for like how the playoffs have always worked. They just have like a ton of like big wings. They are built to play like 6 or 7 guys. Like the idea of depth is like totally foreign to them. But like there's this interesting thing with the Thunder and the Pacers specific. Like the Wolves are kind of deep. Like the Wolves are functionally very deep, but like not in the way that the Pacers and the Thunder are, where like the Pacers and Thunder can do so many different things and give you so many different looks. And it's interesting to see them, I guess more the Thunder, but like see them win that way through up to the conference finals,
I actually wanted to tease this thing that I've been thinking about around depth out with you. And so we can do this as a little intermission between getting to the matrices where we really
oh yeah, that's important.
Went crazy. But okay. We're going back to Dime Square for a second.
As always.
Which is we accidentally, well, Owen Phillips on purpose coined the term weak link theory of basketball, which was very smart. We talked to him. He wrote it on his Substack, and we talked to him about it on this pod a few weeks later. I highly suggest anybody go check that bad boy out. And then it immediately, I don't think because of us. I think independently, or because because of Owen's network.
Yeah. Everyone reads Owen,
right? Exactly. Everybody reads Owen. But in a hilarious connection with when he was on the show, we just started hearing everybody start saying weak link theory of basketball, weak link theory of basketball. Like, are we entering a new phase? Is there, I heard Kirk Goldsberry say it on a Ringer pod. I heard, I just started hearing it everywhere. And it reminded me of a news story that I followed a while ago, which was the proliferation of the term vibe shift. Which the New York Magazine, I believe, or The Cut, wrote an article announcing the vibe shift a while ago, maybe 3 years ago, whatever. And in that, the New York Magazine piece, it is basically citing a Sean Monahan theory. Sean Monahan is a writer and researcher, artist, and he writes the Substack, this profoundly uncool Substack, because all Substacks are uncool. Chris Beck, just kidding. No, he writes. Sean Monahan writes a Substack and talked about the vibe shift as this whole thing, whatever. And that was storyline A of like, oh, okay, The Cut or New York Mag is kind of like proclaiming that this vibe shift is real from this Substack, and that's sort of mainstream media mixed with Substack. I mean, sorry, that's Owen's take going mainstream, and then Owen is the Substack. Owen is Sean Monahan in this case. Mm-hmm. But what the real heads remember is that there is a third layer of all of this, which is that there is a schizophrenic newsletter called Angelicism, which is written in a sort of kind of performance art piece. Patrick is crying and bleeding out of his eyes. Performance art, like insane newsletter called Angelicism 001. And after the release of the Vibe Shift Cut article, Angelicism 001 released their own piece of writing called Somebody Needs to Columbine Everybody at the Cut, which was, I didn't pick the words he did, or they did, which purported that before Sean Monahan and before the Cut, they had actually coined the term vibe shift, and that all of this was getting cribbed from their original writing about the vibe shift. And and that the real kind of creator of the vibe shift is this anonymous sort of skitzed out blog, Angelicism 001. And what I would like to say is that in this analogy, we could be them. We could be Angelicism. We are like it doesn't quite work because Owen literally had written it and then came on our podcast, but like we could kind of astroturf all of this and like be like, we created the vibe shift.
Yeah, that was us.
I'm sorry, we created Weak Link basketball.
Interesting. But maybe we are not strong enough of an individual link in like this media chain.
We don't know enough.
Actually, maybe we are ourselves the weak link in the weak link theory, if that makes sense.
I don't know. It makes complete sense. Yeah. They got Cookies Hoops. They got, the rights to Ricky Sanchez. They got the Distraction, like all these New York. But then us, it's like they're like just blowing right through us.
I have had a couple people recently tweet at me or blue sky at me being like, oh, ever since you individually, you said weak link theory, I can't stop talking about it. And I have to be like, that's not what happened.
Yeah. Right.
Like that is a little, so I do feel the outlines.
Or maybe the real case is that we are Sean Monahan. What should happen is if we get really, really popular and we get misattributed as the creators of the weak link theory, and then Owen is kind of the genius, the secret genius behind all of it, and then maybe Owen goes insane or something.
I see it. Yeah. Let's enter the Matrix.
Oh wait, I didn't even give my theory about.
Sorry.
This was just the dime square thing. Sorry. I want to talk very briefly about this actual basketball theory I have. Because it relates to this weak link theory. And so this weak link theory of basketball that Owen brought up is the idea that, it used to be about how good was your best player. Now it's about how bad is your worst player. That's kind of the sum total of it. But like I said, go read what he has to say. He has more succinct and thoughtful thoughts about it. But I then started thinking about like what are the downstream effects around depth around that, because we are starting to see something you just said, which is that a turn. It used to be a complete, widely accepted playoff-ism that depth matters less in the playoffs, and it was just the idea that your rotation shortens. It doesn't matter that you can play 10 guys because nobody plays 10 guys, so all it really matters is you play 7 guys. But now we are seeing 2 of the teams in the Final Four play 10 guys, which is like a total buck of this trend. And we even saw it, a little bit of the Celtics win last year was like in their depth. And so like there is this sort of this long held playoff belief is getting shaken a little bit. And one of the thoughts that I was thinking about is like, is it not depth in the abstract, but is it the amount of different types of lineups? Like it's like malleability is what matters more, and how many, and so there's certain more or less load bearing depth spots. Like for example, the Warriors have Jimmy Butler and Jonathan Kuminga, but that was not load bearing depth at all because they wouldn't functionally change the geometry of your basketball. Whereas subbing Alex Caruso at center in for Chet and then suddenly being able to do that, or going 3 shooters for OKC, but then that allows you to play 2 double big. Like it's more about like how many different distinct basketball looks can you throw at another team. That is at the core of the depth. It's not how deep your rotation is.
It's not literally is your 13th guy playable?
Exactly.
I think this is totally true, and sort of what we're seeing is like there's a meaningful distinction between like regular season and postseason depth, where like a team like I think the Warriors are a good example of this. Like they have good regular season depth. Like Kerr has like 3 different flawed centers, like get Guy Santos minutes, and there are a lot, like everyone is short of like Braxton.
Gary Payton, great regular season, backup point center.
Mm-hmm. But then it's like, then his flaws, like to the weak link thing, become more of a problem. And like, I think your different looks thing is also true. Like the thing, because basically these teams are so good at adjusting and counter adjusting that like, if you have the Caruso at center look in your back pocket as this like logical evolution of 6 or 7 different like if then propositions, And you can just keep making those where like the Nuggets could only do, they were like hamstrung by their depth, like
Literally
in the sense that they just only had so many looks they could pull out. So yeah, I think this is very true. But then the interesting thing there is the Pacers are sort of a counterpoint to this, because like they play one way and they just have a bunch of different guys who can modify that. But like, it's like different versions of it. Like the Mathurin Pacers like hyperball stuff is like writing the same sentences as the starting lineup, but in a different font, if that makes sense.
Right. Yeah, that is a good way to put it. Yeah, the Pacers are a slightly more straightforward thing, I think, because you rarely hear about the kind of maxing out the stamina of NBA basketball teams. The Pacers are trying to do that, and the only way it seems like they can do that is by playing 10 guys. Like you just can't. There is this, even though Halliburton's still probably playing big minutes or whatever, the fact that for 15 of those minutes you are also getting picked up full court by what's his name, the little guy,
TJ McConnell.
Like that is TJ McConnell slander. Like that's not another look like I'm talking about, but it is it's leveraging the depth in an interesting way where it's like making you work on every single possession.
They're forcing you to play Pacers style basketball. And I think like the sort of the accelerationists would want, I think, OKC Pacers, because you would have two teams who are just built to like basically exert as much pressure all over the court for the duration of the game as much as possible, which is like sort of the 2 steps down the road evolution of weak link theory and like depth and stuff, is like that you can just play at a heightened intensity, and all the little like bringing the ball up past half court becomes like, and you can't just like default to whoever, like you have to like think about that and be deliberate, and like that, again, ratings poison, but like potentially very interesting in the sense of like that series might be the one that looks the most like how the playoffs will look in 10 years of all the 4 available.
Right.
Which, like, I don't know, is that good? Maybe.
Who's to say?
Yeah.
Who's to frickin' say? Okay, how much time do you have? Do you want to do Matrix or do you want to get out of here?
Yeah, let's do like 10 or 15.
Okay, beautiful. Okay, now we are closing things out with a little kind of some matrices we want to plot, which is basically what do things. You guys know what a fucking matrix is, but
yeah. This is a visual medium, but only in your head. So you just have to, when we name an axis, you can pick X or Y. We're not going to be
right. We don't
deterministic, but you do have to imagine it.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Yes, very well put, Patrick. Okay, and the first matrix I got is the aura, plotting things on a aura versus championship DNA axes. What I had was Wolves Knicks is medium aura high championship DNA. Wolves,
I see it.
Wolves Pacers. I'll go through and then you tell me what sticks out. Wolves versus Pacers, high aura, low championship DNA. OKC versus Knicks, high aura, low championship DNA. OKC versus Pacers, low aura, low championship DNA.
I see it. I think the championship DNA thing is an interesting sort of like axis to puzzle out here, because on paper, like, none of these teams have championship DNA, but then I think Wolves and Knicks is the total great exemplar here, because like, just imagine any of these teams as the champion having to explain like why they won. For Knicks or Wolves, it would be like, oh well, their best guys did stuff,
right? And
that is like it's basically like kind of what we talked about just a second ago.
Totally, and there is a level of like, maybe this is not true, but I almost want to say if like OKC, basically if OKC, the Wolves, or the Knicks win, that will kick off a so-called dynastic era, whether or not it ends up being a real dynasty, whatever. If the Pacers win, it is immediately folk hero era.
Yeah.
Like, it's like it's more of like, oh yeah, that was like that fucking crazy team. Like, that team's immediately being enshrined as one of those 2K teams that you can play when you do retro style. Like, it's just cult status.
You remember, was it right before the playoffs when everyone said Halliburton was the most overrated player in the NBA?
Yes. This is like the Fred VanVleet having a kid thing. Like everything kind of changed for him. Which I have to say, we think we've texted about this. I've done a 180 on Halliburton. I really like. I used to kind of be, like some of his sort of off the court like antics. Like when I say antics, I'm like going on podcasts. Used to. It's funny. Yeah, it's like it used to be the I just want him. So he's getting into all this funny stuff, and it would be like people kind of like being racist about players like going to the club after a thing. For me, it's just like I don't want them going on podcasts.
Yeah, he knows what Riverside is.
Exactly.
Which is like, that's tough.
The first NBA champion to successfully set up his Shure mic on Riverside.
I've been forced to defend the Pacers a lot because a lot of people I know really, really hate them, and basically they consider them like weak team, like injury merchants, basically. And the point I've made to them is that like actually the tenets of the Pacers style are like set up to punish weakness in such a way that like them beating injured teams and like beating them so comprehensively is like, sure, like that's like a matter of luck to some degree, but not every team is like optimized to just kill like that. Like the Cavs were just like, they were hobbling and they were like sort of, everyone was like available, but like Garland was like clearly fucked up. But like just the Pacers were just relentless. Like they understood that like, oh, we can just push the pace and then like they'll collapse. And like that sort of like collective ruthlessness I find to be sort of impressive. And the other thing is like, when I think through their roster, I'm like, who is the guy that explains why the Pacers are the way they are? And as I run through like Siakam, Mathurin, Nembhard, Nesmith, McConnell, and like they all like, it's a real like collective thing, which again is why people probably don't want them to win, but like is at least interesting.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. To me, they're one of my, maybe because my dad was from Detroit, so one of my early like favorite teams was the '04 Pistons, and they did it on the defensive end as just this sort of like collective whatever. I love the idea. I do always root for a team that can kind of in a real way become greater than the sum of its parts.
Yeah, that's fun.
And like I just like, I feel like Halliburton gets penalized for doing what every coach wants every point guard to do, which is like make the simple pass over and over and over again.
Yeah.
And he gets penalized for like these, like even just like his ability to kind of immediately catch the ball and his first look is like an outlet pass up ahead and consistently, and how lightning fast he does that is fun to, when you have a point guard on your team, just like even like in pickup, it's fun. It's fun when they do that. And, people, myself included, use it as ammo against him when he like has like a, 18-point mini stinker. But like, I actually do think ultimately that is winning basketball.
Let's do the fourth matrix on the list, because that's the one I'm most excited about.
Okay. Yes. It sounds good. We'll save some of the other ones, but the final one we'll close out on. And hey, let us know. Just tweet at us. Let us know what you guys think. We are going to plot the four remaining matchups on abundance mindset. Abundance. Or do they play abundance basketball on one axis versus deep state basketball?
I think OKC Pacers is like peak abundance. That's like, we've removed all the regulations around how you can build a team. And like now that in the Abundance's case, like environmental regulations don't exist, or in the Pacers OKC case, it's like the need to have like 3-star players don't exist. It's like we can just build. These are the Yimby teams. I think
those you're totally right. I think Pacers OKC is high abundance, low deep state. Like it's almost like it's if there is a Rocco's Basilisk style comment section under the like new abundance blog that Ezra Klein creates, they will be talking about this team.
It's just a bummer that the I was trying to do an Atlantic Division pun, but it's just a bummer that I think the Knicks are like not abundance basketball. The Knicks are deep state
really
basketball.
funny. Yeah, they are. Absolutely. No doubt about it.
What about the Wolves? It's hard to imagine where I think Wolves Pacers would be pretty much in the center. It'd be like perfectly balanced. Wolves Knicks, I feel like would be kind of deep statey, but like there's nothing. The Wolves aren't really.
They don't
it's hard to
clock
think
on
of them.
it, really any of them. The only way you get deep statey is if you are like. There's two Wolves inroads to deep state. One is Rudy Gobert created the pandemic on purpose, and then the other one is a kind of like anointed American exceptionalism angle. Like,
yeah. Also, kind of a Mike Conley Lifetime Achievement Award feels vaguely deep statey to me. I have to say. Also, Joe Ingles.
Mike Conley as Leon Panetta, sort of like it's just like he's at the DNC just because he's been there.
Also, I'm thinking there's sort of like a latent Utah Jazz validation going on with the way that they have like Ingles, Conley, and Gobert. Like, that's a lot of, I don't know. That
yeah, maybe they were right. Maybe Donovan Mitchell was the problem after all.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree that the most neutral on this axis is the Wolves. They're kind of skirting by. Knicks are pure deep state. I think I've told this story, but like I was at a party a few years ago for a group of people that wanted to build a city in Croatia using like cryptocurrency or something. And I met a guy there who told me that Devin Booker was going to go to the Knicks, a 19-year-old dressed in head-to-toe capital, who also told me he was Tim Dillon's financial manager. But so like that guy only exists in New York City, and he's only talking about the Knicks. Like there's no. But I think you're right. I think the most salient thing here is OKC Pacers is just straight abundance. Like that is polyamorous abundance, like gray environmentalism ass basketball.
I can imagine Ezra Klein watching that series. I can't imagine him watching Ant Edwards hoop.
No. Yeah.
Just stroking his little goatee.
And I also like totally could imagine Ezra Klein having Tyrese Halliburton on his podcast,
I think I would listen to that. I think I would tap in.
Absolutely, you got to.
Speaking of tapping in, give us a rating review. Tell your friends. No other pod out there has released their NBA Finals preview.
For the first one.
None of them will even do it this week. We're lapping the field. So if you want to know who's going to win the finals, don't listen to this podcast. But if you want to know what it's going to be like, let them know.
Exactly. Exactly. Look, tell your friends. This is the Nothing But Respect Army grows stronger every day. We're getting tweeted at from
in Italian
from an Italian guy. So
shout out to that guy.
Shout out that guy.
If you speak a different language, please tweet at us in that, because like if I see like Brazilian Portuguese, then like that's how I know we will have made it. Like
completely.
That's
agree.
the good stuff.
All right. See you later.
Sweet. Enjoy.